guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca, and here in my little corner of the web I like to talk about budgeting and lifestyle, and today I'm filming my April 2022 budget with me. So April is, I don't know, a pretty standard month for my husband and I. We don't have, the month hasn't happened yet, but we don't have planned for anything too big. So let's get into it. So we have my budget spreadsheet here, and I have blocked out some categories. So I've blocked out for my husband's privacy, his sources of income, and then the little kind of chart that I use to make his paycheck amount. So like I take his gross amount and then I do percentage of that we keep because we save some for taxes because he's self-employed. And then I also have blocked out the specific places that we tithe to for privacy. So I am sharing my business income because I want to be transparent. I got really serious about launching my event planning business last summer, and I'm doing it part-time as I additionally have a part-time job at a nonprofit. And some months are more than other months, but I'm only planning to take home $356.63 in April. And I am making a really big investment in April in a bridal show, and that is almost $1,000. So the last one gave me some pretty good results, so we'll see how well this one does. And then I may not do any more from that because they're pretty expensive, and I don't know that they are necessarily worth it in the day of like digital technology. But we are planning to take home $54.56, and this is it's pretty safe to say that we're going to make this because our biggest variable is my husband's income because he's self-employed, but we have started using extra paychecks to fund the next month. So we're currently in March, and we've actually almost fully funded April. He just came to me last night and he was like, "You can share my income," and I was like, okay, but I change the amount every month that I think it's safe for him to make from each source, and he has already we've already put aside some March checks into April, and we have another one that we know we're going to get in March, which will be able to fund May. So that's a much safer place for me to feel like we are, because we are relying on this unpredictable income. And this will help us for our trip this summer because we don't know, what kind of income he's going to be bringing in when we are abroad. We are going to Europe for 2 months. So that's kind of what we're trying to do right now. And that's why there is already this amount of $2,300 in the actual category. That is money that is now just sitting in our bank account as a buffer in addition to our other buffer. And then giving, so we have this bottom calculator here that just makes sure that we are actually zeroed out on our budget. So currently the budgeted amount is at zero. And then for actuals, obviously this number is way higher because we haven't spent anything because April hasn't happened yet. So in giving, we are budgeting $557, which is 10% of our income. We are believers and we tithe to our church and other local missions. And we've already given, we haven't actually given $418, that hasn't come out of our bank account, but Jared does tithe when his project's income comes in. So some of that has already physically left our bank account. I also, just to make it easier for me, already account for we have monthly gifts set up with some nonprofits. So I already account for those. And then for our bills section, this is pretty standard. Our mortgage is $1,200. Our phone bills are $116 together. Mine's $57. Jared's is $59. Wi-Fi is $71.15. Electric, I've already got this bill, is $59.82, and I'm kind of surprised that it's so low. I don't know. So it's been pretty cold, so we've had the heat on, so it makes sense that this would be low. But then water, sewer, trash, I actually don't know the amount of that yet, so I've just put a buffer in because it's usually around $90. And then natural gas, you would think that because the electricity is lower, our natural gas would be higher, but it actually isn't. And I'm wondering if it'll be higher next month, like if it's, you know, that much time behind, but it's just $28.67, which is great. Car insurance is $158.77, and that's for both of our cars. Health insurance for Jared is $160.37. Life insurance for both of us is $59.13. And my gym membership is $21.60. So our total bills that we're planning on are $1966.51. And then moving over to our variable expenses. So groceries, we always budget $450. Eating out, we're budgeting $180. We almost never stick to this, but I can't bring myself to raise it anymore because it already feels like so much. Gas, we're raising this budget to $130 this month. And actually in February, yes, I had the budget at $110, and we only spent like $50 something. So we may not spend $130, but I know that gas prices obviously have gone up, and so I'm budgeting more than we usually budget. But we both work from home mostly, and I drive a Prius, so we don't typically spend a lot on gas, which is great for us. And then Jared gets $100 for his allowance. I get $100 for mine. I have a line item in here for my business. It's called Shoestring Flings. You should look it up and give it a follow on Instagram. But I don't usually spend out on my personal account. This is just for, like, I had something in here for March because it's kind of a long story, but I took a little business retreat, but I didn't want it wasn't technically really a business expense. It was just something that I did for myself. So I put it in this category because I couldn't really, like, make that a business expense. But anyway, subscriptions, we are budgeting $60. Miscellaneous, we just budget $100 every month. And then house, we budget $50 every month. And this is for any like decorations or like, I don't know, that kind of thing. It's not for household items like toilet paper, paper towels. I actually put that up with the groceries. And then moving down, so our total for the expenses category, is $1,170. And then for sinking funds, so I've blocked out the start and finish amounts because obviously we haven't closed out March yet. So I don't know what those start and finish amounts will be. But we are planning to add. This is the fun part of our budget because this is where the goals happen. So we do a zero-based budget, which means that every dollar in is given a name. And we don't just like leave any money just unaccounted for to let it be eaten up by something. So we have these sinking funds and we keep them all in one account, and then I track the amount for each on this spreadsheet. So we are planning to add $100 to home maintenance, $25 to renovations. This is very small and it's we are hoping to add a studio apartment, but I think in March I was talking about how that was our next biggest goal after traveling. That's fake because I know I talked about this in my 2022 goals video, and I'll link that up above. But Jared, my husband, if you follow along with my videos, you know that he works for an architect who's actually his dad, and he does design, like CAD design work with him, and he actually wants to go back to grad school to get his master's in architecture so he can take over the business at some point. And so we have just decided that that's where God wants us to go. We were mulling it over for a really, really long time, trying to decide if that's where what we wanted to do. And we have decided that. So we have started saving. And I know it's going to cost a lot of money. We have honestly at this point no idea how much it's going to cost and how much we're going to be able to cash flow. But we are almost done with our travel sinking fund, which we've been saving a huge amount for our trip this summer. This is actually the last month of like putting money aside towards that trip, which would be $500, and that should fully fund it. So then we're going to start putting every extra dollar towards that. So that's why it's this weird amount of $193.12. It's because that's our next financial goal that we're working on. And we really believe that that's going to be an investment in us and our future, and like job stability and income projection for us. So we're really excited about that. yeah, we're going to try to cash flow as much as we can. Hopefully we won't have to take out student loans because we just paid mine off last year, but we'll see. So then, gifts, we're putting $125 towards gifts, birthday gifts, and then I think we have only one birthday in April, so Christmas, we're just putting $50 aside every month. Airbnb. So when we travel, we have started listing our house on Airbnb, and I have a sinking fund for expenses that we have so that we can kind of track them in a bucket, if that makes sense. It's kind of confusing, but we don't expect anyone to stay at our house in April because we're not traveling anywhere, so this is just $0, no expenses there. And then health, we're putting $125 towards health costs, doctor's visits, medicine, vitamins, that kind of thing. And we're putting $120 towards auto costs for a total in our sinking funds of $1,238. I don't know why that was so weird for me to say. I got confused. Okay. And then savings items. So, again, these are blocked out because I don't know the start amount, but pretty basic here. Our emergency fund is fully funded at $10,000. We also have $3,500 that we keep as a buffer in our checking account. So we're fully funded there for now. And then we're adding in our buffer, I just feel like because it's split between two different bank accounts, that it feels kind of smaller than it is sometimes. So I just want to add a little bit every month. So we're just planning on $25. And then for our retirement accounts, we are planning on putting $500 towards that. And I know we should be doing more. I'm working on it, but that's what we're doing right now. So our total in the savings category planned is $525, and that is a zero-based budget. So to this right section, I have like this pie chart that shows a breakdown of our expenses, and I try to follow the 50-20-30 rule, which is like 50% of your expenses, or just make sure that we are, hitting or exceeding that. So the rule is that 50% of your income goes to your needs, 20% goes towards your wants, 30% goes towards your wants, and 20% goes towards saving. So we have 36% towards bills and then 20% towards expenses. So that's 56%, which is kind of a mix of needs and wants. I would say, I don't know, it's mostly needs, but then some of it's wants. And then sinking funds and savings sitting at 30%. And some of those are also wants too. They're not all savings. And then giving at 10%. So it's looking pretty good. Yeah, and I am excited about April. I think it's going to be a good month, and I hope that you have a good month with your budget too. Let me know any changes you have or anything else you want to see from me down below in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.